Hi, scholars. It's Mr. DeWine. It is Thursday. If you're watching Friday's video and it is Thursday, you need to go to Thursday's video, packet 43. We're going to go over our do now. So if you have not finished your do now, please press pause until you have done so, and then continue the video when you are done. Number one asks you, so your do now asks you about different things that the civilizations, Maya, Inca, and Aztec, may or may not have had in common. So, for example, number one, had a writing system. We learned over the last couple of weeks that the Aztecs and the Maya had a writing system, and the Inca did not have a written system. They just used their quipu to deliver messages. Make sure you are getting the correct answer, taking the time to correct it if you did get it wrong. Had pyramids. So all three of them had pyramids. We mainly talked about the Aztecs and the Maya having pyramids, but the Inca also had a few pyramids as well. Human sacrifice. That again was all three of them. The Aztecs had the most. An empire. So the Aztecs and the Incas both had an empire. The Maya were just city-states. So for city-states, the Maya had city-states as well as the Aztecs. So the Aztecs both had city-states, but remember they also were an empire made up of city-states. Tenochtitlan is the capital city of the Aztecs, built on a lake. In Mexico was located the Maya and the Aztec. And of course, the Inca were located in the Andes Mountains of South America. The Inca and the Aztecs had slavery. The Maya did not. And all three of them had a king or a ruler, an emperor of some sort. So all three had a monarchy. Take a minute to correct your answers. Pause if you need to. Turn the page when you're done. So let's go over our agenda. So we did our do now. Your objective is to describe the factors that led to the fall of the Maya, Inca, and Aztec. We don't have these three civilizations around now. So today we're going to look at why do we not have those anymore. And so we'll do a quick lesson opener. We will take some class notes about the three civilizations. You'll do a independent practice about the fall of those three civilizations, and then you're going to create a cartoon in the second part of your independent practice about the fall of the Inca. You'll take your exit ticket, and we'll go over homework, and we'll say hasta pronto, which means see you soon in Spanish. Turn the page. So, quick lesson opener. What do you think happens to the Aztec, Maya, and Inca? So we've talked about it a little bit in class. So you may already know the answer, but take a second, brainstorm. You can write somewhere in your packet. What do you think happened to these three civilizations? And I'll give you a hint. Not the exact same thing happened to all three. So you have your answer, what you think happened to them. So now let's look in our class notes to see how right you are. So we're going to start with the earliest, and that of course was the Maya. So the Maya is actually their fall, their collapse, is one of history's greatest mysteries. We don't know what happened to them. Around 900 AD, so 1100 years ago, long time, the Maya began abandoning their cities in large numbers, and they moved to other locations. So why did they abandon or leave their city-states? Well, some answers may be that they had a natural disaster like a tornado or a drought or a flood. Maybe they're just a large war, or maybe there was some disease that wiped them out. We don't know. Those are all possible solutions. What we do know is that the cities were left to be overgrown by surrounding forests, rainforests. So when you look at pictures now of Mayan city-states, you see these amazing rainforests that have overtaken the ruins. So there were a few that were left when the Spanish came, and those city-states were conquered by the Spanish in the 1500s, but there weren't many left by then. Remember, that's a full 600 years after they started abandoning their cities. Go ahead and take 1 minute and summarize what happened to the Maya. Once you have your 2-sentence summary, so press pause, and once you have your 2-sentence summary, press play. Okay, you should have your 2-sentence summary by now. Here's mine. Yours does not need to look identical. In fact, it shouldn't. But it should look similar. What happened to the Maya? It is a mystery what happened to the Maya. The Maya people abandoned their cities, maybe because of disease, natural disaster, or war. You could have also said that the Spanish overtook anything that was around when they came. So speaking of Spanish, let's talk about the Aztecs now. So the arrival of the Spanish brought an end to the Aztec Empire. So explorers came from Spain. We call them conquistador, which is a Spanish word meaning conqueror. They began invading Mexico and Central America in search of 3 things: gold, glory, meaning they wanted to be famous, and they wanted to convert people to Christian. They thought it was their job to make people Christians. And we say that as a God. So the 3 G's are God, gold, and glory. 3 G's. So the leader of these conquistadors, his name was Hernan Cortez. In Spanish, you don't pronounce the H in the beginning of the name. So Hernan Cortez. He led a group of Spanish men to Tenochtitlan, the Aztec capital, in the year 1519. You can see a picture of him coming. He has a cross in his hand. Remember, he wants to convert people to Christianity. They had never heard of Jesus. They had never heard of Christians until Cortez. Many of the small villages supported Cortez because they had been forced to pay tribute to the Aztecs. So they wanted to beat the Aztecs too. So they helped out Hernan Cortez and the Spanish, unfortunately. So when they finally reached the city of Tenochtitlan, the Aztec Emperor Moctezuma II was cautious, but he welcomed these strangers. In fact, he believed Cortez represented one of their main gods. He gave them gold and valuable gifts. But Moctezuma was eventually taken hostage and eventually killed. So he thought this person was a god. Why do you think he was a god? Well, they had never seen a white person before. And so this was the first white person they'd ever seen. And because they looked so different, and because they rode on an animal that they had never seen, they'd never seen a horse before, and they had weapons like guns, which they had never seen before, they thought this person must have been a god. And so with Montezuma dead, the Aztec Empire quickly fell. The Spanish had some major advantages. They had a lot of firepower, so they had guns, like I just said. Aztecs didn't have guns. So even though there were a lot of Aztecs, they didn't have guns. So they were at a disadvantage. They also didn't have steel weapons, like swords. All their weapons would have been made out of bronze or stone, which are not as good of weapons for killing. They had horses and they had cannons. The Aztec continued to fight even though they were at a disadvantage. And to top it all off, so they're fighting these Spanish soldiers. Then a outbreak of smallpox, which is a deadly disease, happens, and that weakened or killed half of the city. Um, this disease made its way to the Americas from the Spanish conquistadors. So the Spanish, they were used to this disease, so they had what we call an immunity. But the Aztecs did not have that immunity, and so they quickly died. Cortez had conquered all of the Aztec Empire. Tenochtitlan was destroyed and renamed it Mexico City, which is still a city today, one of the largest in the entire world. Spain now controlled this region. Go ahead and do all of these questions in the box about what your notes that you just took. Press pause and then press play when you're ready. Okay, check your answers against mine. Conquistador is a Spanish soldier. Where did their conquerors come from? Well, the Spanish conquered the Aztecs. Two reasons they were able to do it. They had better weapons like guns and steel, and they had horses, and they also brought with them deadly diseases. What happened in your own words? Well, the Aztecs were conquered by the Spanish conquistadors, led by Hernan Cortez. They were defeated because the Spanish had better weapons and brought diseases with them. So you need to have said in your summary that you need to talk about Spanish conquistadors, Hernan Cortez. They had better weapons and they had diseases. If you don't have all those things, press pause and get them. Last one, the Inca. What happened to the Inca? Well, in the early 1500s, Spanish explorers, after they had conquered the Aztecs, new Spanish explorers figured they wanted to do the same with the Inca. So they began arriving in South America and shipped from Spain. The leader of this expedition, his name was Francisco Pizarro. He heard how Cortez had conquered the Aztec, and he wanted to be famous and rich just like Cortez was. So that's exactly what he did. The Inca people, just like what happened with the Aztecs, they died from smallpox. 250,000 people got the disease and died, which majorly helped the Europeans gain control of the Inca. They also had what we call a civil war, meaning two parts of the country were fighting against each other. So there's two brothers, Atahualpa, which was the Sapa Inca, and his brother. And because they were fighting among each other, that really helped the Inca because they were already fighting a civil war. That really helped the Spanish defeat the Inca because they're already fighting a civil war. So Pizarro's men attacked, and again, the Inca had worse weapons, primitive weapons, and the Spanish had guns, cannons, and soldiers. Pizarro took Sapa Inca hostage, and he eventually executed him. He told the Sapa Inca, he said, "Bring me all your gold," and he brought him a ton of gold. But they still eventually executed him. Without its leader, the Inca Empire was eventually conquered by Pizarro. So, finally, you get your your check for understanding in the box below. Press pause, answer the questions. When you're ready to move on, press play. Compare your answers to mine. Who conquered the Inca? Just like the Aztec, the Spanish. Why were they able to do it? Just like the Aztecs, the Spanish had better weapons, and they brought deadly diseases to the Inca. What were the conquistadors looking for? They were looking for the three G's: God, gold, and glory. They were looking to convert people to Christianity, find gold and other riches, and become famous. Turn the page once you have those answers. Okay. Next is your independent practice. You have only 4 questions here. And then here, I want you to tell me why the Maya, the Inca, and the Aztec, why did they fall? Tell me the name of the conquistador who conquered them, Cortez or Pizarro, and tell me who their leader was. Okay. Once you have that done, turn the page. Okay, so I'm not going to go over that independent practice, but I am going to jump into your cartoon creation. So you will now create a comic strip depicting the fall of the Inca civilization. Each box is going to have a different part of the fall. This is worth a classwork grade, and it'll be turned in at the end of class. So you're going to get 4 points for your different boxes. You're going to get 2 points for being creative, 2 points for colorful, and 2 points for neatness. So what will you put in each box? Well, I'm going to show you what I put in each my box. Yours can be similar, but I don't want it to be identical. Okay? So what? So let me give you a quick preview, and I'll come back to this, of what I mean. So you have 6 boxes about the fall of the Inca, and you have to figure out what you're going to put in these 6 boxes. So here's mine. Okay. That's what yours will look like, except it will be different by the end of class. But let's go backwards. So what we put in each box? Well, we got to start in chronological order with what happened first. First, you have the Inca living in the Andes Mountains. In the next box, you have the Sapa Inca and his brother. They're fighting with each other about who's going to be the king. So, 2 brothers fighting, Incan brothers, then the Spanish, led by Francisco Pizarro, arrive. Those Spanish bring smallpox with them, and that kills many of the Inca. Pizarro captures Sapa Inca and eventually executes him. And then the Spanish wipe out the Inca because the conquistadors have better weapons, guns, steel, and horses. So now I need to take these 6 facts that we learned today, and like I said, yours do not need to be the exact same. Some can be similar, and some may be some other facts that I didn't talk about. Okay? So, make sure you put your name on it. Cartoon by, you're going to put your autograph right there. 1, and then you have 6 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So here are my boxes. Remember, number 1 was just the Inca living in the Andes Mountains. Remember, your number 1 can be a little bit different. My number 2 was the Inca fighting a civil war. So you see them fighting against each other. Then you have Francisco Pizarro arriving. So I drew a picture of Francisco Pizarro. They bring smallpox. They capture Atahualpa, and he brings them all his gold. There's Pizarro. And the Inca are defeated because they don't have horses and weapons and guns. Okay? So, this is mine. I don't want yours to look identical. It can have some similarities. But please feel free to be creative. You have the rest of class to work on that. Okay. You can take your exit ticket before or after your cartoon strip, but your exit ticket needs to be done with name, date, and homeroom written on it. Make sure you don't look at your notes during your exit ticket. Really quickly, I'll go over homework, and that'll be the last thing. Okay. For your homework, you will read about the Inca and the Spanish conquest, and you will answer the questions on the back. Make sure you have everything on your checklist for success. You do now, your class notes, independent practice cartoon, and exit ticket completed by the end of class. Have a great day, and I will see you on Monday.